this is Leanna with iMore.com, and I'm going to give you a quick little preview of iPhoto on the iPhone and iPad. We'll actually just look at the iPad version, but it's the same thing on the iPhone. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the editing features here. So down here is where I can choose what to do. Here's cropping, which also allows tilting, and I can choose aspect ratio if I choose, or if I wish. I can also adjust my exposure by moving this little slider. If I don't like what I've done, I just tap undo. If I want to redo, hold it down. And it also is really nice for undo in case you're not quite sure what you're going to undo. It's a little reminder. Next would be to undo my cropping. Over here is where I can make some color adjustments. So I can do that by adjusting my sliders. Or, if I tap anywhere on the screen, I'm going to go ahead and undo all that. If I tap, for example, here, you see that moving up and down will adjust my saturation, and you can see the corresponding slider moving as I move my finger up and down. If I want to, so this one right here is for blue skies, this is for greenery, and this is skin tone. If I want to adjust one of those specifically, I can of course adjust the slider, or I can touch a corresponding area of my photo. So for skin tones, I can touch her face, and you see skin tones has popped up, and sliding left to right, adjust my skin tones. For greenery, I just have to touch somewhere green, like here, and you see now it says greenery instead of skin tones. And although this photo doesn't have blue skies, it's the same exact thing. So that's pretty neat. Another cool white balance feature is that I can choose this face one right here, which allows me to choose part of her face, and it automatically chooses a good white balance based on her skin, which is really, really neat. Another neat feature about iPhoto is there's a lot of stuff going on right here, and so it might be really easy to just be overwhelmed with all your choices. You can just tap the question mark and a lot of information pops up on what everything is. For example, there's all of my white balance options. If I exit this, you'll see a lot more information from this screen on what I can do to my photos. So that's very, very helpful. Okay, next let's look at brushes. I love brushes. They work really, really well. So we've got repair, red eye, saturation, desaturation, light, darken, sharpen, and soften. And they're pretty self-explanatory. Repair will basically get rid of blemishes and stuff like that. So I'm actually not sure if this photo really has any. I mean, maybe if we look right here, I can repair some of this. Makes her skin look a little better right there. I could probably get rid of that big spot right there. Repairs it. So watch, I'll undo. And you'll see I got rid of that spot. But I'm actually very happy with how good repair works. So we'll go ahead and try the darken filter right here. And one thing that I don't like is as I apply the brush, you don't even really have any indication that it's happening. You can't really tell. It's not a very drastic effect, which is good that it's not drastic because you want to be able to ease in what you want to do. But until I hit undo, you didn't even necessarily notice how much of a change it did or where I even did it. So that's where this show strokes, and I'm going to go ahead and darken it a little bit, becomes handy. Because now everywhere that I decide to do it, you're going to see red, and it, you know, it's easier to keep track of what you've done. Of course, you cannot see the actual effect of how it looks when you're doing it like this, but at least you can keep track of where you've drawn. The other thing I don't like is there's no way to adjust my brush size. I don't even know exactly how big my brush is. I mean, it's my size of my fingertip. So the only way to pick a smaller brush is to zoom in. And of course now it's still the size of my fingertip, but since I'm zoomed in, it's technically a smaller brush size. This isn't very precise and it drives me crazy. So let's go ahead and turn off the show strokes. And now you can see that it actually did darken a lot. Let's go ahead and undo. Ooh, let's undo one more time. There we go. You can really see the difference there. I'll go ahead and redo again. So it works pretty good. I'm really happy with brushes. All of them work very well, especially just a quick tip. You're going to want to sharpen things like eyes and mouths, soften skin and keep away from edges. Darken places that are overexposed, lighten places that are too dark. It's all pretty self-explanatory, and they work really well. I'm very happy with them. Okay, next we have filters. Honestly, there's nothing really too exciting about these. I think Apple calls them effects. They're just, everybody has seen filters, and they work how you would expect. For these ones that have strong vignetting, you can, make them stronger or darker. But like I said, it's nothing like mind-blowing or anything. It's what you would expect. Now let's take a look at journals. So here's one I've already created. And they're pretty cool for the most part, but I'm not completely happy with them. But here's one I made earlier. It's all the photos from one of my albums. You can choose however many photos you want to do them. You can adjust, first you hit edit. You can adjust the size of your photos. You can make them big, you can make them small, and Apple does a good job of, auto moving things how they should move. But it also includes these little widgets that you can add. Headers, text, notes, pages, food, quotes, memory, an empty space, maps, days, and weather. And the only ones I really like, honestly, is day. And you can adjust the date, and weather. Which you can also, adjust what you want the weather to be. So let's say it's snowing, and of course if it's snowing, then it's going to have, wrong way. It's going to need to be something more down here. And I like them because they stay small. Notice I cannot decide to make them bigger or smaller. And so if I wanted to add, for example, a note, this note is huge. Even if all it says is one word, like the one up here, it says Grace, and that's it, and the note has to stay that big. It's obnoxious. You should be able to adjust the size. And this is with everything. Memory, which is just another fancy note, you can't adjust that. The only thing you can sort of adjust is text. So here's text. I'm going to say hi. So it's a tiny bit of text. But if I'm going to move it, it wants to give it that much space for hi, which is just obnoxious. So I can actually adjust this one a little bit, but that's as small as it can go. It still has to take up at least the size of 2 small photos. So, it's cool. It's really cool, but at the same time, it needs some work. You can share these on the web through iCloud, and it gives your journal its own URL so you can share with fans and family. Sharing with iTunes, all it does is send all your photos to iTunes. It doesn't show it like this, like a journal, which was really disappointing and seems kind of pointless to me. I am Leanna with iMore.com. This was iPhoto on the iPhone and iPad. Thank you.